everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of Gamestack Podcast. I'm Shaline, and joining me is Rick McVick.
Hello, hello.
How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing really good. It's like I had some good news happen today or something. It's strange.
I know, I feel this strange sense of euphoria, just for no apparent reason. It's not because Vender's
Accomplishment?
gone. Let's clear that
No,
up right
it's
away.
not.
We're very sad that Vender's gone. We miss him. Love you, Vender. He's very busy with life, the life of a grad student. So he was unable to join us today. So send all the good vibes to Vendertron. We miss you, buddy.
All the good vibes. That was my vibes.
So Rick, since you're talking about this strangely good feeling, do you want to open with that?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's. I choose to believe that we are loved somewhere in the Bethesda sphere. Bethesda. Anyway,
I think it's likelier that we're lucky.
I think it's luck. My luck is at 10, which is I actually know 15. My luck is at 15. Me and Shaline were invited to BE3, and I'm so excited. I've always wanted I've always wanted to go to LA, and what better excuse to convince my wife like, "Hey, I do need to go to California, and it's not to get away from you. It's only to go to BE3 this year."
You should bring her along.
She doesn't want to go.
She doesn't want to go?
She does not like large cities, and LA kind of qualifies.
Yeah, it does at that. It does at that. But
So I will be going alone, which is okay. It's fine because I think maybe you'll be there.
I think I will be too. So yeah, we're gonna get to meet in the real world.
Flesh. Do you
Yes.
realize this will be the first time we've ever met face to face?
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. We've known each other for what? Is it like 4 years now?
Almost like 2015 to 2016 is when we first started. I think
Yeah.
doing.
You're one of
Oh,
my best friends in the whole world. You're like a brother
for,
to me. Never
I could
met you.
I could be like I could have no legs and you would never
I
know.
wouldn't know. No, I would actually have no idea. You might not, for all I
I'm
know.
a max headroom for all you know. I was either way. I was very excited to see that update come through. I'd been selling a bunch of like audio gear on Reverb, so I'm constantly checking my Gmail for the update tag or the tab to see like when like a Reverb would come through. I'm like, oh, I either got a message, an offer, or something sold. And I saw when it said Bethesda, and I was like,
Yeah.
and it was this like mix of yes, and then right after that was crap. I've got to figure out how to get there and the money.
There's a lot of logistics that goes into it. We've got to get planes and some place to stay and figure out how to pay for it. And
Yes, exactly.
it's a lot. It's a
It
lot
will.
that goes into it.
It'll be interesting to say the least. But I'm very excited. And whether it be to what we've done over the past 4 years, or whether it's just straight up luck, either or, I'm very happy to
Yeah.
attend BE3 this year.
It's really funny, I thought, because we just put in our application yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
It was yesterday. And we got the confirmation today. So
Well, either way, I'm just a
it
happy,
was a
happy
pretty
man.
speedy turnaround. I'm excited too. It was really fun going to E3 last year. So it's going to be fun to go to Bethesda this year and actually get in. Excited for that. I hope it's a good year for the BE3 press conference. I hope it's not like that year when they just showed a video for 40
Pete Hines
minutes.
walks. Pete Hines walks up on stage and just takes a blown up balloon and goes
It
for
was
five
so
minutes and then
bad.
walks off,
I hope it's not like that. I hope it's a good one.
or just
So
lets it go. It's like around the auditorium.
I'm hoping we'll get to see some Starfield.
Oh yeah, Elder
Probably
Scrolls
some
6.
some new content for Fallout 76 as well.
Right.
So
I'm excited for some of the new and returning IPs that they have coming up because um there's a lot of new technology that's happened. The next gen consoles are out and it's time for another Elder Scrolls. They've been doing the quasi MMO thing for a while, so going back to the single player is going to be a refreshing change of pace.
mm,
And I've got kind of more to commentate on that later with my gameplay as I've been playing Oblivion the last week, and just kind of looking back on the way that that operates versus like Fallout 4 or even Skyrim. So
It's very
yeah,
different.
I'm excited for whatever they have in store for us and the little nuggets of information that they tend to pump out pre BE3.
We should do a live podcast from Los Angeles.
We're gonna have to figure out the logistics of that because we're gonna have to do something. I mean, it's what, Sunday,
Yeah, it's Sunday, I think at 3 p.m.
and you can bet your sweet
So,
bippy that I'm gonna be there on Friday. So
yeah.
because I am not gonna get there Sunday morning on a red eye or something.
Yeah. It worked fine for me to call in last time from my tablet.
That's right.
So that was extremely successful. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll figure something out and we will record something for you guys. Whether or not we
Absolutely.
can stream. So this has gone on a long time, us gushing
long.
about how excited we are to go to BE3, but we are very excited. So if the Bethintern is listening, thanks for coming through, buddy. We love you.
The check will be in the mail.
And yeah, but that's not why we're here. We're here to do a podcast. And we thank you all for joining us in the live chat. Everyone who's here, go ahead and give us a host, give us a follow, tell your friends about the show. We appreciate all of that. We also like to thank everyone who leaves us a 5-star review on iTunes because that helps new people find our show. Rick, do you want to talk about our 5-star reviewers this week?
I do. We have one hailing from the United States of America. It's Nikki Valentin. He says, "Love you people podcast yeet," which I guess is millennial or Gen Z speak. I don't know, but I believe it's happy.
I think we are millennials. So,
Well, all right.
yeah.
First off, yes, technically yes, but there is a big divide among the millennial generation that like those who were born in like the 80s and like early 90s didn't have the same kind of like internet connectivity as those born in like the late 90s. So I do believe that it should I feel like it should technically be two. There's like a
Yeah, it probably should be split. Maybe
yeah,
it
there's like a
is.
I don't know.
I don't
No,
know.
because it's millennials are like 84 to like 96 or something ridiculous.
Well, regardless, I don't know what a yeet is, but it sounds positive. So, thanks, Nikki Valentin.
Don't you eat them? It's a vegetable, right? I mean a root. It's some sort of root.
We also like
A
to
yam and a beet.
welcome new members of our Discord community.
Yes.
We love the Discord community. We hang out in there every day. And would you like to welcome our new Discord people, Rick?
I would. We'd like to thank IQ the Wolf. The Wolf. Welcome to the Discord. Matt Shep. Weekend _ tacos. Tacos are never to be underscored. And Dude Fused Tib. Or Dude Fused TIB. Either or. Thank you so much for joining us on the Discord channel, where the three of us hosts never participate.
Well, that's just you.
That is just me.
Me and Vendor are in there a lot.
Do more with that. You know what? I have
Yeah.
off on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I should just like right into the Fallout Discord channel and hang out for a while.
That would be super fun.
It would be super fun. It would be super like, you know, I don't know, good of me. The people that are only there because of us. You guys should interact a little bit. I don't know.
It would be nice, but you know, busy, jobs, families, you know, we do our best.
I'm
We do our
home alone on
best.
Tuesdays and Thursdays doing nothing. But thank you guys so much for joining the Discord. It is basically the chat room of Twitch, after hours, if you will, where shenanigans and fun things happen constantly.
Yeah, it's a really great place to hang out with like-minded gamers. It's a very welcoming community. And something that I really appreciate about our Discord people is that they can disagree without it getting ugly. You know, that's something that I really appreciate about everybody at the Discord. They're great at keeping it civil. So, yeah.
Right. And if it gets past civil, I walk in with ye old banhammer and clean house.
Which you haven't had to
do
do in a very long
I've
time.
not.
Not for a very, very long time.
It feels very good to not
Indeed.
have to do that.
So, you better polish up the banhammer, though. Keep the rust off. You want to be able to use it if you need it. So,
I was gonna say my arm's gotten a little weak from swinging the thing.
Well, this was the longest podcast intro of all time,
Was it like
possibly. If
11
there are
minutes?
any listeners left out there who have not abandoned this disaster, we would like to go into some news. And I'm going to play the news bumper, Rick. You can't hear any of the sounds, but I promise it's playing. It's news time on Gamestack, and as always, a big shout out to Joseph Tao. We really appreciate how much easier you make our lives by helping us compile the news every week, actually. So we're gonna start off with the new releases for the month of May, and I did edit this list down a bit because it was 3 pages long. So Rick, why don't you take it away? I love to hear your renditions of the new releases list. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, and actually this month is the first time I think where we're doing the new releases where it's not mid-month and half of them have come out already. So this is all the new games, not all the new games, but most of the new games that you would care about or fun for me to say coming out for May because, well, in a few days it's going to be May. Anyway, so on May 2nd, we have Strike Suit Zero coming out for the Switch. And then this one's a doozy. For the PlayStation 4 and the Switch on May 2nd, you can get VA-11 Hall-A. Whatever that is.
That sounds like where I had economics class.
Actually, I think it's like a veterans hall kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's the VA-11 Hall-A, which is just probably standing in line wishing you had health insurance that works.
Yeah.
On May 7th, you can get Brief Battles, which is obviously pretty short for the PC.
Is that the prequel to the VA game?
Oh, that was dark. Oh, man.
I broke Rick. Oh dear.
That was so evil.
I broke Rick. This usually goes the other way around.
I just wasn't expecting something so dark. Anyway, yes, on May 7th, you can get Brief Battles. Woo! For the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. And then also on May 7th, for the PlayStation 4, you can get one of the games with the longest titles I've ever read, The Legend of Heroes: Trials of Cold Steel 2. On May 9th, for the PC, you can get Yakuza Kiwami 2. And I believe the first one just came out last month, or we've talked about.
It hasn't been
this
that
game.
long. I feel like it hasn't been very long.
Yeah, I feel like we just talked about this game. For the King comes out on May 7th, 9th, 10th for the PlayStation 4, Switch, and Xbox One.
Wow, I didn't
It's a
even notice
rollout.
that when I was editing these. That's amazing.
It's a rollout, so like the red carpet for the King, it rolls out. Life is Strange 2, Episode 3, Wastelands.
I'm so excited, but I'm also sad because we're probably not going to get to play this until after Vender's done with his thesis.
Yeah, but you want him to like focus a little bit.
Oh yeah, I want him to have a successful grad school experience. That's absolutely more important. I'd rather he finish that.
Right, because when I said focus, I was not actually at all referencing focusing on the game.
Of course not.
So, yeah, so that comes out on May 9th for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Rage 2, which I'm kind of intrigued about. I have not pre-ordered this, and I will not pre-order it. But I'm excited to see how this one turns out. That's May 14th, coming out for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbone. A Plague Tale: Innocence.
I think I'm
Comes
gonna
out
get
for-
that game. It looks pretty good.
What is it about? Is it a walking sim?
No, it's like an adventure game. You play as like a young girl in a time of plague. So it looks interesting. I don't really
Okay.
know how to tell you about it. It's not a Rick game, I'll tell you that.
Okay. So for if you're not into games that Rick would like, A Plague Tale: Innocence comes out for the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on May 14th.
It cracks me up when you pronounce the colon.
I think I'm gonna make that a thing. Because what it's gonna do is it's gonna point out how many times they use that in naming video games. So On that note, on May 16th, Castlevania Anniversary Collection for the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One and Switch comes out. And then Bubsy, Pawn of Fire, ! Comes out for PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC, also on May 16th. Steven Universe, Save the Light, and OKKO bundle. Jesus Christ, what the heck?
What even is that?
I don't know. I thought it was done by the Save the Light, but then it came out with the OKKO bundle.
Is that two things? Is that Steven Universe Save the Light and Steven Universe OKKO? Or is that Steven Universe Save the Light and OKKO? Is that like a separate property? I
don't know. But we know that on May 17th, you can get the Steven Universe Save the Light and OKKO bundle.
I'm gonna have to pick it up now just to find out what it is. I mean, Archon says it's based on a web comic.
Of course it would be. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch, May 17th. Keeping up with the theme, we have Etlier Lulula.
I'd go with Atelier.
Atelier Lululu. The Scion of Ireland. PC, PlayStation 4, and Switch on May 21st.
Joseph Tal says 2 different shows on Cartoon Network, so it is 2 separate properties.
And who cares about Cartoon Network when Boomerang exists? Honestly. I'll take Top Cat over anything that has to do with colons any day. On
those
May
colon shows, man.
I hear they stink. On May 21st, along with Outlier, May 21st, Switch, all on Switch actually, you get Resident Evil 0, HD Remaster, and 4.
Nice.
4 is certainly worth picking up, and if you can carry Resident Evil 4 in a portable device like the Switch, I highly recommend it. Resident Evil 4 was probably my favorite Resident Evil. It was the one I played the most, and I got halfway through the entire game on the hardest difficulty without getting any damage.
Wow.
And then I got hit by an ogre, and it was just like, I think I'm done. So, Archon says in chat, Rick, not everything is about El Kabong. I beg to differ. I forget what his sidekick's name is. El Kabong and... anyway. On May 21st, also, you can get Observation on PC and PlayStation 4. See, look, there you go. You have one word, one title, it works. Unlike... Also on May 21st, The Killing Floor, double feature on PlayStation 4 and PSVR. That's probably gonna be pretty cool on PSVR. Do you ever play any Killing Floor games?
Nope.
You just kill a lot of
I assume they're
zombies.
violent.
Very, very gory. Just like, did you ever play House of the Dead?
Yeah.
Like in the arcade? All right, so think like House of the Dead, kind of. No rail shooting. It's just hordes of zombies. It's very gory, and it's like a wave after wave kind of thing.
That would probably be a great VR game.
Yeah. I played The Killing Floor 1, and during Christmas, all of a sudden, all the zombies had like Christmas things. So like the main bad guy at the end was dressed like Santa Claus and had like a chainsaw arm.
That's amazing.
It was very fun. So that comes out on May 21st, as well as Team Sonic Racing on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. Gladiabots comes out on May 22nd for the PC, and on May 23rd, Total War: 3 Kingdoms comes out for PC. Awesome. Also on May 23rd, you get Pathologic 2 for the PC and Swine HD Remaster for the PC.
I think it's important that you note that this is S.W.
.I.N.E. HD Remaster. I thought about doing that earlier, but like for the OK K.O. but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I would throw my own mouth off. And
it just looks a little more ridiculous, than just swine.
It is kind of nutty. Actually, I think we're coming up with the longest title I've ever read on this particular segment. After Dollhouse, which comes out on May 24th for PC and PlayStation 4. Also on May 24th is Sword Art Online, Hollow Realization Deluxe Edition for the Switch.
Wow.
That. Sword Art Online, Hollow Realization Deluxe Edition.
And Switch boxes are so small. How are they going to fit that on there?
I don't know. If you want something a little more lighthearted on May 28th, you get Little Friends: Dog and Cat on the Switch.
Oh, I'm for it.
Sounds right up your alley. Also on May 28th, you get Blood and Truth on the PSVR and Cricket 19. Good lord, 19? 19 of them?
Well, it's probably 2019. Cricket 2019.
Oh, I hope. Rather than like, this game is called Cricket, and then Cricket 2, then Cricket 3, then Cricket 4, then 5, then 6.
Well, you know, Cricket's an amazing game.
I know that.
Bat.
19 of
Great.
them?
Need 19 variations of Cricket.
I'm going to assume that it's 2019. So Cricket 19 on May 28th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. Although I think they should do a VR edition so the ball, as it comes towards your head, you can like duck. So that would be, Cricket. Anyway, Among the Sleep Dash Enhanced Edition. May 29th. Conan Unconquered. May 30th on PC. Home Sweet Home on PS4, PlayStation VR on May 31st. And Kododama, the 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa. Fujisawa?
This is my favorite segment of the show.
Anything from Japan just throws me. Kotodama, the 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa. PC, PlayStation 4, and Switch. One thing I gotta say is a lot of the JRPGs or like anything that comes out of Japan just sounds so much more epic to say.
Oh, yeah.
Pathologic 2 or Kotodama, the 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa.
Yeah, I'd rather play Kotodama.
I would rather play Kotodama than Pathologic 2, which just sounds like the Tales of Ted Bundy. So there's that. But Kotodama comes out for PC, PlayStation 4, and Switch on May 31st in the European Union. EU, Europe, whatever. And June 4th on NA, not available. Trover Saves the Universe.
North America.
I know. I'm butchering this segment so bad. I'm just gonna run with it.
I love
it. Trover Saves the Universe. Trevor. I'm gonna call him Trevor. Trover Saves the Universe on PC, PlayStation 4, PSVR on May 31st / June 4th for the PC. And what? Lavis X Labyrinth XL Limited Edition. So it's the extra large limited edition. On PlayStation 4 and Switch on May 31st. Good God, we're done.
What do you think a Labis is?
I had assumed that it was a part of a human. Without getting too vulgar.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a labyrinth, so I guess it works. So it sounds like an adults only game.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for rolling through the new games for the month of May. That was fantastic. So proud of you.
I gotta say, names are stupid these days.
But after that last couple of lines, I feel like I need to take you to church, and that's what we're doing now.
I'm really curious to see how you're segueing into this.
So, of course, you've heard about the tragedy, the disaster that happened at the church, the Notre Dame Cathedral in France. It was
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. I am from New Mexico, Rick. I don't know how to say things that are French.
It's pronounced in Mexico El Notre Dame.
El Notre Dame.
What was the joke of El Diablo stands for the Diablo? That was a 70s show reference, I think.
I think that was, yeah. I think that was a 70s show.
It literally means the Diablo. Anyway.
So, of course, we do not mean to make light of this terrible tragedy, because it was a tragedy. There was a fire at this, historic cathedral. A lot of the structure and the things inside were destroyed, and it was tragic. And Ubisoft has pledged 500,000 euro, which totals out to about 564,775 American dollars, to help with rebuilding the cathedral. And I think that's just a lovely thing. I also find this really cool. They're giving away Assassin's Creed Unity on PC on the Uplay client for free. And that game contains a really detailed representation of the cathedral. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is very cool, and I know that the AC series tried to be very historically accurate as far as scale and look. Um, and I really appreciate that they were able to step up and kind of hand some money off to that. Kind of on that same note, I'm a member of AES, which is Audio Engineering Society, and they a couple years ago, I think 2014, a team of scientists went in and digitized the Notre Dame acoustically as close as they could. Um, so like all the acoustic properties have been like digitally recorded of the entire chapel to a very, very, highly detailed. I
That's
don't know what you really
really
want to say,
cool.
but yeah, it is, especially for the rebuilding purposes. I think it would help kind of because that church was known for its acoustic properties. It's stone, it's huge. It was known for going in there and just listening to the building, really. And so I think that some of that data is going to be used in the reconstruction. So
Fantastic. That's wonderful.
yeah, it's such a bummer to lose, historical things. And did you hear what they blamed it on?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, somebody came out and I somebody was like, oh, it seems that it was caused by a computer glitch.
What?
And yeah, I was like, what? AI is at that point now where it's like, let's burn down Notre Dame.
Is this
Yeah,
like the first step of the robot apocalypse?
I know, but what a target, right?
Ah.
Your history. I don't know. Yeah, from what I read, it was like, oh, it's a computer glitch that caused the fire. I don't quite
How
understand how
does a
that.
computer glitch cause a fire?
I get, maybe it sparked. Maybe they literally meant it went. Bzz, and
Yeah,
lit
like the
on
time that
fire.
didn't your computer catch fire one time? Like
Well, no,
literally?
I plugged in a USB and it sparked and smoked, and then everything's fine. I've used that USB before and it's worked. So,
Whoa.
uh. But
Well,
yeah,
the of course the representation of the cathedral in Assassin's Creed Unity is not a perfectly faithful rendition, but it is very detailed, and they did take a lot of 3D captures of the
mm,
cathedral when they visited it. So they have offered to make those available for the rebuilding efforts as well. So I think that's really neat that they've done this. That's definitely a good guy move by Ubisoft. So
oh yeah, and
it's nice to have some good news to report regarding a game
Ubisoft.
maker. Yeah.
Good boy, Ubi. Sit.
So um so you recently got a PlayStation 4, right?
I did. I'm not behind the times at all.
That's nice.
I beat
Well,
one game.
it's already going to be obsolete pretty soon, Rick, because Sony has announced some details about the PlayStation 5. Interesting that they did this
Ooh.
ahead of E3. I feel like they're trying to get ahead of the news.
Get our mouths watering.
Yeah. So,
Like
um,
Schrodinger ringing the bell to get the cat's mouths watering.
it's going to be a more powerful machine than the PS4, surprising no one. And quoting this article from Wired, um,
Salty.
well, I mean, obviously that was a stupid thing I said. Of course it's going to be more powerful than the PS4.
My
It's
what I really want to know is it going to be more powerful than the current PC technology? And my guess is probably not.
yeah, I agree with you there. That's the thing. No matter how advanced the consoles get, they're always going to be a few steps behind the PC, aren't they?
I already see AMD and Radeon, and I'm already like, just
Yeah.
like, yeah, move on.
So just to read this little segment here, it's a quote from the Wired article. PlayStation's next generation console ticks all those boxes, starting with an AMD chip at the heart of the device. Warning, some alphabet soup follows. The CPU is based on the third generation of AMD's Ryzen line and contains 8 cores of the company's new 7nm Zen 2 microarchitecture. The GPU, a custom variant of Radeon's Navi family. Hey, listen.
I was just gonna say, is it gonna annoy me every 5 seconds? Hey, listen.
Will support ray tracing, a technique that models the travel of light to simulate complex interactions in 3D environments. While ray tracing is a staple of Hollywood visual effects and is beginning to worm its way into $10,000 high end processors, no game console has been able to manage it.
Which means it won't actually be in the commercial product, in my opinion. Well, it was a good concept.
Yeah.
We weren't able to finalize it good enough for the release. So basically we're releasing 2015 technology in 2021.
They also mentioned that audio improvements will be a big focus for this next console. And it will not be releasing this year. That was confirmed. So, what do you think? Do you think it'll be 2020 or 2021?
Um, when did the PlayStation 4 come out? Do you know?
2013, I think.
2020.
Yeah.
I think so.
I expect 2020. I'd kind of like it if it waited till 2021. I never want to upgrade because I don't feel like we need new consoles yet.
Well, I mean, so, PC gets a bad rap for being expensive, but yes, PC is more expensive off the bat, but not in the long run. Really. I mean, think about it. Um, I've been using the same machinery since, I don't know, 2017, 2 years ago, and I can still run games that have come out today on high or maybe even ultra.
Mm-hmm.
And and in 2017 I had better specs than any of the consoles that were out years prior.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when it comes time to upgrade, like I have to upgrade right now, like a GPU, right?
Yeah.
And a 1080,
Have you decided what you're going to get?
yeah, a 1080, which is like, 300, $400 or whatever. And then that'll last me for another like 5 or 6 years. So I just mean that, like, consoles are great in the sense that, like, you kind of get this like safe bet that all the games are going to be optimized to that console, and I understand the kind of safety and consistency that you're going to get. Part of the problem with PC games is they have to be designed for all sorts of systems and all sorts of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Expense and form factor is also a huge consideration because it's a lot more expensive to have a high end PC than it is to
oh
have
my gosh,
a top of the line console. And
you're right.
my Xbox One X is this big and my PC is this big.
Well,
It's
you're right. I think for a multimedia console kind of thing where you're getting your Netflix and your games all in one, I do honestly see a benefit for consoles, and I think like the PC Master Race is just I use as a joke.
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
we
And
love our consoles too.
yeah, I mean, I look at my PlayStation 4 and I look at Horizon Zero Dawn Gathering Dusk, and I'm like Dust, and I'm just kind of I want to sit down and play it. At the same time, I don't know why I just sit at my PC more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I like the responsiveness of a mouse and keyboard. It just I like that better than a controller. But as far as like the tech goes, you don't need the highest end PC in order to operate at ultra or even high. I mean, when you start getting into like plus 60 hertz refresh rates or plus 60 frames per second, it starts getting into incremental gains that don't necessarily matter for the dollar, and then it gets a little silly. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's a good thing that they're coming out with a new one. The technology in the PlayStation 4 was quasi dated at the time, uh, and quickly out surpassed by PC technology.
I feel like my PS4 games still look really good though.
They do because
God
they're
of War
optimized
looked
for the console.
amazing. Horizon looked pretty good except for the face animations.
No, you're right. But then again, like those games are developed and optimized for the
With the
console.
console in mind.
And so in that regard, they do look very good. I mean, God of War looks great, you know. So I think it's good that but I haven't kept up with the consoles long, like, enough to kind of have an opinion on whether or not they're
Mm-hmm.
ready for one. That's all.
Yeah,
I just
personally, from my own opinion, is that I'm not ready for a new console yet. I'm
feels like it
still
just came
really
out.
happy with my Xbox One X and my launch PS4.
Yeah, when
It
did they Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but when did they come out with like that like upgraded version of the PlayStation 4?
it's been a few years now, I think. It's been maybe 3 years.
Yeah, but it's only 3 years, and they've already upgraded the technology to 4K,
Yeah.
which, if I'm not mistaken, only handles 30 frames per second.
I don't know. Don't know about that.
Hmm.
But Joseph in the chat mentioned something that I was going to bring up. He says that the big rumor right now for the reason why they did this Wired interview about PS5 is to avoid details leaking out from the dev kits that have been distributed to game developers. So,
Makes sense.
yeah, it really does make sense because it's impossible to keep a secret nowadays. There's too much internet happening, and it's just impossible. It's impossible to
much
keep
internet.
these things under wraps. So, makes sense
Yeah.
to me. It's better to release that information on your own terms instead of having it leaked. But so the PS5 is not the only new console that was announced, Rick.
I looked at the acronym. It makes me giggle.
The Xbox One Sad Edition.
So it's the X-Bone Sad.
The Xbone Sad. How are they so bad at naming things?
What was the high end one? The Scorpio.
Yeah, the Scorpio is the Xbox One X,
It was
which
such a
came
better
out
name.
alongside the Xbox One S, which is less powerful. Yeah. So, like, all these moms are going and they're like, I need an Xbox One X, for my kid for Christmas. That's what he wants. And they're like, oh, the Xbox One S? Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah. So bad at names. But this one is the Xbox One S all digital edition. So it is the sad edition. And I just, really, Microsoft. Why?
Fail.
And an all digital console is not a bad idea, in today's day and age. If you have good internet, it would be a good investment. It has a terabyte hard drive. But the thing here, Rick, is that it's priced at $250, which is the same price as the Xbox One S that has a disk drive.
But this one has a terabyte though.
Yeah. But you can get a terabyte Xbox One S with a disk drive for $250.
Well, the difference is it's solid state, right?
Is it?
I assume that's what all digital means.
I think it's just a hard drive. I think it's the same. They just took the disk drive out and they're charging us the same amount.
It's like Porsche when they're like, we're gonna lighten the car and take out all the stuff and then charge you $30,000 more.
Yeah.
Okay, so my gist was like from an all digital one was like, oh, it's got an SSD in it.
It
so
doesn't. It's the same hard drive.
Well, then what the heck are they doing?
Right? And like it's not a bad idea, but it should cost less without the disk drive.
Oh, disk drive. I'm thinking hard disk drive. Sorry.
No. I mean like the CD
actual
drive, the Blu-ray drive.
It's like removing the headphone jack.
They removed some functionality and made it cost the same.
Nice.
Because basically, you can go all digital on an Xbox that has a disk drive. You don't have to use it, but you can still have the option.
And here's the thing. People are going to pay for it and then make it worse for the other consumers who are intelligent.
It does look really sharp, though, without, any slots. It's like a solid little brick there. Looks pretty nice.
So basically, they're like, oh, look, we've made a steam machine.
Oh, man. I think this was such a strange thing to do.
I know PlayStation's like, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox is like, we took away the disk drive.
But it costs the same, though.
Good job, Xbox.
They tried.
You do realize that back in the day, like when the Sega Genesis was out, you know what it was called in Europe? I think like Europe and other countries, it was called the Sega Mega Drive. So much better than the Sega Genesis. And now we've come to the Xbox One S and X, and now it doesn't have a disk drive and costs the same.
Yeah. I just remember when I brought home my Xbox One X, and I was telling you guys that I had done that dumb thing and bought a new console. I remember Vendertron saying that the box was the Xbox One Xbox box.
Yeah, that's right. The sex box.
Oh man.
There's
Yeah.
too many X's and S's in that name for it to
It's
be like
horrible. It's just a disaster. Just an
bad,
absolute
bad, bad.
disaster. So you know what we were talking about last week? Not
No,
last week. It was week before last. Because we
definitely
only
don't.
do this show every other week. Someday I'll learn that and I'll stop saying things that
Last week.
indicate that this is a weekly show. Because it's not. We talked about World War Z.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I got it confused with Daisy. And we had a big thing because I didn't know
Right.
what game we were talking about.
Because at one point DayZ was Warzy, I think.
Yes, the War Z, I think.
But one of them was H1Z1. There were too many MMOs where hackers were involved and zombies were there too.
Yeah, the zombie games, it's hard to keep track of them, but World War Z is the one based on the Max Brooks IP.
Right.
So that game has sold 1 million copies in the week since its launch. A quarter of those sales have come through the Epic Games Store.
A quarter.
So, yeah, 250,000 sales through Epic Games Store for World War Z.
So 25% of all the sales that happened for World War Z came through the Epic Store. And I have a feeling that's going to give them enough peacock flair to go, see? Ah? Like I stole. Yeah, 25% of people. Like, that means an arm of, like, if you have one person, his arm will download from your store, but his
Yeah.
brain won't.
Yeah.
That's
So
still a
what
lot.
are your
though.
thoughts here? I know that you're a little salty about the Epic Store. You have some concerns.
I think that this proves what I've said all the time, that it's people don't really care if you sell or harvest their data. They just want to know that you're doing it and where it's going.
Right.
And Epic has said, yeah, we're doing it. And yeah, it's going to China. And obviously 25% of the people went, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I've said. People want all the personalization and stuff like that. They just want to know how you're doing it.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's just, I mean, some people don't, obviously, yeah, but I feel like people are much more comfortable with companies selling their data if they know exactly what's going on and who it's being sold to. Transparency. So this kind of proves that sort of thing. I'm not buying anything off the Epic Store personally, but
I'm a little surprised that the game has sold that well just in general.
me too. I didn't even. What is it? I don't even know what it is.
Me
I feel so
either.
old.
Let's do a Google.
Weird zombie game.
Okay, we're doing a Google live
Oh,
on
we're
the.
doing a Google?
Okay, it's a Left 4 Dead clone, according to Eurogamer. 4-player cooperative third-person shooter, according to the official website. Okay.
Whatever. I'll just play Left 4 Dead 2.
Just gonna have a little.
Welcome to
trailer.
World War
That's
Z,
probably
a
super
third-person
loud.
shooter based on the
I don't
hit
even hear it.
Paramount
You haven't
film.
shared the
As
audio.
you
Oh
and
yeah,
your
I
friends
didn't share
against
the audio. I'm
countless hordes
sorry.
of
The
zombies.
people can hear it though.
Can they?
Creative
That's
director
great.
of Saber
People can
Interactive,
hear it.
here
They
to give you a
can't see it.
gameplay
That's
overview of our co-op
fantastic.
campaign
This
mode,
is a great
Great.
in
show.
which you'll
This
fight
is
a
great show
series of
right
It
here.
looks terrible. It looks like garbage. It looks like hot garbage. Let's move on. Speaking of China, we weren't, but speaking of China, China has instituted some new rules regarding video
I
games.
love this headline.
Some pretty harsh restrictions. This is pretty concerning to all of us, in my opinion, all of us gamers worldwide, because the size of the Chinese market is going to mean that people are going to want to sell their games there. You know, they're going to want to line up
Yep.
with these restrictions, and also the power of Chinese company Tencent, you know, which owns such a huge stake in gaming already. So I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. In late December, and this is an article from Gizmodo, by the way. In late December, the Chinese government ended a 9-month freeze on approving video games after some government reorganization. And we have some details on the new restrictions. So, it's... Oh, wow, that's in Chinese. Okay, don't click through. They don't want... 3 genres of games will no longer be allowed. Gambling titles like mahjong.
Really?
Yeah,
That's gambling?
it is there. They play a different version than we do here. Like the mahjong you play
Okay.
single player on your computer is different than what the original game is. And poker will not be allowable. Any game that deals with the country's imperial history will not be allowed.
Ugh.
And games featuring corpses and blood of any color are not allowed.
So every game in existence, basically.
Of course, in the past, games have gotten around this blood thing by changing the color of the blood to green and calling it slime, or, changing it into sweat. Are things that they've done to get through. I know I had a version of Mortal Kombat where it was sweat instead of blood
I
at
remember
one
like
point in my childhood.
I
And
remember like having an option in the options to like blood color, green, red, and I was like, why green?
yeah, but that's not going to fly. They are really cracking down on that. They have also banned pornography as well. They are requesting that publishers change the way that their titles promote Chinese values and culture, so that if those games become popular, they will portray the country in a favorable light, which is highly propaganda-ish there.
No, you don't say.
Yeah, I guess I didn't need to say that, but I did. They are to divulge more information to the Chinese government about games, including scripts and screenshots, and what features will be included to help curb gameplay addiction and overspending. Game addiction has been an issue for China. And in 2007, some regulations were put in place for PC games, which has expanded to mobile games as well.
What in a in a coun- in a country like China where you can't do hardly anything, no duh that gaming addiction goes up because what else are you gonna do?
Yeah. And the escapism, is a huge thing.
Right.
It's a huge thing. But I just think, it's such a big market. There's so many people in China. It's such a big market. And I feel like this is going to have ripples that are going to affect the
I
entire world.
I wholeheartedly disagree because yes, China's a big market, but the world outside of China is a bigger market, and the rest of that market isn't gonna swing for games that work in China. I mean,
Right.
could you imagine Fallout with no cursing and all of a sudden like the Chinese aren't bad in Fallout all of a sudden and there's no blood? You think that would sell anywhere else other than China?
I'm not sure that
No.
would even sell in China. That would be a terrible game.
But that's my point. Like,
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is most game companies that aren't EA or Ubisoft are going to continue doing what they do because they're selling regardless. And besides, it's not, I think if anything, it's just going to hurt China.
Hmm. Well, good luck to our Chinese brethren. I think we did have a couple of listens from China when we
We
checked
have like
our
2 or 3.
Gamestack stats. We had like 3 listeners from China. So if
Look,
you're there, let us know if you are actually in China and not just using a VPN that makes it look like you're from China. Let us know. Let us know that how this is affecting you and what you think about it. Write into info@wejustlovegames.com.
all I'm going to say is when you tell someone they can't have something, they're going to do everything they can to get it.
You're
So
absolutely right.
stop, you
Yeah. Life finds a
weirdos.
way, and so will gore. So,
And porn.
yeah, that too. That too. I have this in the wrong order. I have another story about Epic, and I should have put this above the China story. But Epic's Tim Sweeney has thrown down the gauntlet to Valve in a very salty remark. This is from a Kotaku article. Tim Sweeney, who is the boss over at Epic Games, has tweeted that his company would end the widely lampooned exclusivity agreements if Steam would raise the revenue cut that developers get,
Mm-hmm.
which is a pretty strong statement. He says, if Steam committed to a permanent 88% revenue share for all developers and publishers without major strings attached, Epic would hastily organize a retreat from exclusives while honoring our partner commitments and consider putting our own games on Steam. So,
Here's a
he
good.
also wrote in a follow up tweet, such a move would be a glorious moment in the history of PC gaming and would have a sweeping impact on other platforms for generations to come. Then stores could just go back to being nice places to buy stuff rather than the game developer IRS. What do you think? Do you
Um,
think he's serious? Do you think he would really do this if Valve responded tomorrow? Hey, we're doing it. We're challenge accepted.
I think this is one of those things where the numbers are going to show what's really happening. So first of all, you've got Steam that takes a larger cut of the game price.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but also they're not accused of selling information to the Chinese. Where some reason it seems like Epic is the good guy and doesn't charge the game companies as much when they sell a game, but I don't know, seems to make up their money when they sell your information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of to me it's a mafia move because they're not necessarily being the good guys. They're making up their cash in another way that's less ethical than Steam. Steam is at least being ethical in what they're doing with your information. Um, and just kind of curbing that, we're not going to sell your data by charging the developers more. And so it's which one do you want?
And thinking about it from a strictly business mindset, even though Steam takes a bigger cut, the Steam install base is so big. You know, everybody has Steam on
Yep.
their PC. Um, that they probably make more on Steam in the long run, just out of volume.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's definitely a given. Steam has got that market somewhat curbed now, but again, it boils down to I think Steam's ethical. I mean, what do they take from developers? Do you know what the amount is?
30%, I believe.
Okay, that is a lot.
It's an
That's a
awful
lot.
lot.
What's Epic take?
I think it's 10.
Yeah. So this it's interesting to see a lot of the music rights and stuff like that come through Congress with streaming. Um, it's going to hit PC gaming one of these days, that's for sure, or just gaming in general. Where, I think like Spotify was paying its artists like 0.01% like of a penny for every stream, or
That's
something stupid.
terrible.
Yeah, it was something really bad. Where I think like Taylor Swift or some person who got 5 million streams got like a $5,000 check. Um,
Wow.
and I can't remember, but Congress did step in to kind of like, hey guys, pay the royalties that you need to be paid, mechanical royalties
12%. Epic takes 12%. Thank you, Joseph.
and default take. So yeah, 30 is a lot. 30 is definitely a lot. But again, it's one of those things of one, they're not selling information as far as we know. Two, it's a premium in the sense that they've got a lot of people.
Is it confirmed that Epic is selling the information? I keep hearing this, but I've never seen hard data.
Yes. Well, in my opinion, from what I've seen from the responses from the CEO of Epic, which basically boils down to, yeah, what about it? Deal with it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what happened was they were pulling data from Steam, like what your friends play, how much time, blah, 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 blah. And when they were found to do this, the CEOs basically said, since you caught us, we'll change it.
Yeah. But were
And
they selling that or were they using it for themselves?
no, from the reports that I read, that they had there was code in their files that led to spyware of Chinese origin, but it was neither
Mm.
confirmed nor denied from anyone. But it was just a lot of guys hacking into files and going, "Oh, we've seen this before,"
Yeah.
and it's shady. Uh, but but
I
looking past
just I don't feel that I've seen enough evidence to say that Epic is more or less evil than Steam.
what I was going to say, moving
All
beyond that.
corporations are evil to some extent,
Well,
but
yes. I mean, there's always, excuse me, a give and take. But what I was saying, moving beyond that, the 12 and 30%, Epic is not as big as Steam. And if they charged 30%, they'd be stupid and destroyed within a matter of months because no one would go with them. Because they're like you said, their reach isn't as wide.
mhm.
So with Steam, yeah, you're losing 30% to Steam, but there's a premium there. There's an audience that Steam has that no one else does. And I would be curious to see who this hits the hardest. If it hits indie developers the hardest, well, duh. They don't have as much of a budget or room, if you will, from how much they need to charge to how much they need to make profit. There's not a lot of margin there, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, if anything, maybe this will sway into Epic's favor of indies going to Epic and AAA is going to Steam. Who knows?
I don't know.
But
I feel
those who have
like
Steam installed aren't going to uninstall it, are they?
one of the
No.
things I hate the most about Steam is that if you just want to browse for a game, if you don't know exactly what you want,
Oh,
you just there's so much trash there. So much trash. And I feel like but just because they don't have as much on the store with Epic, you would have a better experience just looking for something.
so what you're saying is the biggest problem that you have with Steam is its interface from 1996?
Well, it's just there's so many games on Steam and
There
so
are.
many of them are garbage.
You
It's
don't say.
it's just and that's a problem that I've experienced on the Nintendo eShop as well. The
Hmm.
other day, I wanted to play something new. I wanted to find a nice fun indie game, and I spent like an hour browsing the store and then just played some Breath of the Wild
They've turned into
because
Netflix.
yeah, there was nothing. There was so much like weird stuff on there that I just had no interest in, and there was no meaningful way to sort it. So I don't know. Anyway, that's all I've got.
Okay, cool. This is a
Do
good
you,
news segment, I think.
do you want to do GameStop this week? Do you want to since Vendor's
Me?
here? Yeah, it's usually his thing,
Oh, this is
but
gonna be
he's not
bad.
here. So I'm gonna play the stock bumper. So silence for a moment. And what's going on in the stock market this week?
Well, apparently, as reported in the United States Standard Dollar as of 11 a.m. Thursday, April 25th, Sony is sitting at 46.66, down 33 cents, which I guess is bad. Microsoft, which is sitting at $129.57, is up $8.62. We have been touting Microsoft as the leader of what you should do in the gaming industry, and it looks like it's showing a little bit. Nintendo is up $2.15 and ended at $40.10. Take Two is down 75 cents and settled in at a nice $93.36 per share. Activision is down 8 cents at $47.20, and Ubisoft is also down 8 cents at $18.25. EA is also down $8.15 at 93.68, and it looks like the bad guys are down and the good guys are up.
It's a pretty sharp drop for EA. I find it interesting that you always turn things into good guys versus bad guys.
Well, what do you want me to do? I look at the data and I correlate their actions, and what I think Ubisoft and Activision and EA are doing is bad, and I think what Nintendo and Microsoft are doing are good.
Mm-hmm.
They're up. The bad guys are down. Sony is kind of the outlier here, where they're kind of neutral in everything.
I think Sony is doing so poorly just because I bought those 3 stupid stocks several months ago. I think
You're a bad
it's
omen.
just my own bad luck that is causing the Sony stocks to perform so poorly. It's terrible.
So you need to sell those stocks. Do you still have them?
I do, yeah. I
Sell them so they
absolutely
can go
do
back up.
have my 3 Sony stocks. I don't want to sell them because I'm going to lose money. I
Uh,
want them to go up again before I sell them. So
E3 will make things interesting.
maybe I may have to sell my stocks to pay for E3. We'll see.
Well, the interesting thing is too is Microsoft is up $8 even after talking about the we're charging you the same for less.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you for sharing game stock with us this week.
Sure.
And what's on your stack, Rick? What you been playing lately?
Well, first of all, Joseph Tao in the chat says all companies are usually bad. I don't know how Rick thinks Microsoft of all companies is a good company. Well, mainly because of what they're doing in the gaming world, and I kind of want to address this real quick. But
Yeah,
how
let's
they're
talk about it.
buying up smaller, medium, what double A, maybe even
I
single
think
A
you'd call them
titles,
double A.
double A titles, and basically throwing money at them and saying, "Do what do the voodoo you do so well," to quote Blazing Saddles, and giving them money to do so is exactly what companies should be doing. Versus where EA is buying up AAA companies and saying, well, "You're going to do what we want you to do." And we're gonna like put people in place
And
that
then
we
when it
want
fails, we're gonna drag you out in the
to.
back parking lot.
Yes, exactly. We're going to give you 500 men to attack 10,000 men, and then when you fail and retreat, we're going to shoot you. It's just a backwards way of thinking. And Microsoft, yes, granted, with all its inherent flaws and issues, what they're doing in the gaming community is actually very good. Buying up small companies, giving them money, and saying, "Run, go do what you do." I mean, Ninja Theory, they're just like, "Here you go, man. Make games." And for all we know as consumers, Microsoft for the most part is staying out of it. And that's a good thing because you're letting the people who do the good stuff do what they do, and that's why I think it's a good thing. Anyway, moving
Interesting.
on.
I do think I definitely don't look at companies in terms of doing good or doing evil. I try and just think about the business of it. Um, I don't know. I try not to think about it as a moral issue.
Well,
But I am looking for, and I'm not sure. I know that's going to be some really controversial statements that you've made. I think a lot of listeners are not going to be excited
no.
about the fact that Microsoft has bought some of these smaller studios. But I am looking forward to seeing what Ninja Theory can do with Microsoft money.
Right. I mean, that's the concept. I mean, good
Yeah.
business is investing in a smaller company that you're saying, look, we'll take a cut, but we're going to give you more money to do more stuff or do some of the stuff that you wish you had time or budget to do. I mean, think of how good Hellblade. Here's where, and I don't mean to make it moral. That's not my objective. I just mean they're making good business decisions in a sea of bad business decisions, in my opinion. I don't necessarily mean to make it a moral judgment, but where I will kind of draw a, I don't know if you want to say metaphysical line, but something more ethereal is, would Hellblade been as good as it was if it had more money and more manpower behind it?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you can never answer properly and you can only speculate on. So, who's to say that Ninja Blade only thrived due to limitation and not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we'll see how it works. I feel like it's the good move. I feel like it's the right move. I feel like it's a move that other companies should copy, but only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see.
Could be way wrong.
I'm definitely withholding judgment until we see the games that start coming out from these studios, but I am hopeful. So,
Very true. But
speaking of
Shalene,
games,
I was gonna say, that's how we get listeners is to speculate things and make news that doesn't exactly matter because it's not true because it hasn't happened yet. Anyway, so um, I've been watching. I just started Game of Thrones, like pleb at season one, and I was watching it and I was like, man, I really want to play Skyrim, but I'm so done with Skyrim. What should I do? I didn't have any sort of options. So I remember there was this little game that came out in I think 2006 called Oblivion. And I liked it pretty well. I played it a lot. and I didn't have it for the PC. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy the game of the year for PC. And I did that. And in the past week, I've put in 20 hours in Oblivion,
Wow.
and I've been loving every single second of it. The first time I played Oblivion in a long time was last Sunday when I did that little impromptu stream on our channel where I made a sword and board character that I named Rick because that's and just made him a knight. Never in my entire history of playing that game did I pick a preset character like a knight or whatever you want to call it. I've never picked a preset character, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to make him a knight, sword and board, just for streaming purposes. I'm not going to play him off stream. I'm just going to do this. So, made a sword and board character, and I ended up playing it during the stream, and then playing it afterwards. So I was like, well, I've already spent like 3 hours in this character. I'm gonna not there's no reason to build another one right now and make it something else. So I'll keep doing sword and board. And I ended up sticking with it for 20 hours. And I so far have done the Knights of the Nine quest. And you get this really awesome set of heavy armor, which is great. You're a crusader for the nine. And I did that. I got the sword, I got the mace. And I love exploring Alien Ruins. Alien Ruins are one of the most beautiful things in that game. The game has this nice juxtaposition between like really open worlds. You have Cyrodiil and it's open. There's some forest areas, but pretty much no matter where you are, you can look and you can see the gold tower, which is really nice. Just adds a sense of I don't know, bigness, and also at the same time, you know where you are, type of thing. You're in Cyrodiil. You can always see White Gold Tower, and I Alien, it has, so yeah, it has a juxtaposition between like really open worlds, White Gold Tower and stuff, and then all of a sudden a lot of the exploration is done in caves, old forts, and alien ruins that often are very claustrophobic. Alien ruins tend to have a little bit more of the open areas more than the caves and the forts,
Can I
but
ask you a question?
yeah.
What's an Aliad?
Oh, I'm sorry. um an Aliad is basically like an elf. It's part of the elven race, but it's
Okay.
before, I think it's before the distinction between high and dark elves.
So it's like ancient elves.
Yes, they don't exist anymore. Apparently, the Aliads went off to the Sunset Isles and then they disappeared.
Like
Something,
the Lord of the Rings elves?
kind of. The Aliads disappeared. I know that.
Is that
Every
like
once
the snow elf? Like, would he have been an Aliad?
The snow elf?
From
No, in Skyrim?
Skyrim? Yeah.
No, they're Falmer. They're a
Okay.
different race breed thing. I'm not totally brushed up on my TES lore, so if I'm wrong, forgive me. It's not that we're a TES show. I'm trying. I used to be a lot more versed in TES lore. I had this whole fan fiction thing where Adventius Arantino in Skyrim, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where I had this whole little fan fiction thing where he was the main culprit behind all of the Elder Scrolls games because he learned how to read the Elder Scrolls without becoming blind or maimed, and he learned how to use the rifts in time to travel and try to take over the world at multiple intervals.
That's
And
a pretty
so,
good headcanon.
yeah. So anyway, but yeah, the aliens left behind all these ruins many, many, many years ago, and there was like wars and stuff. So the Knights of the Nine is there was a crusader who tried to kill this very high and powerful alien king, and he did kill his physical form, but his spiritual form lived on. And the fight killed the crusader, and his relics, his armor, sword, mace, shield, got scattered throughout all of Cyrodiil. And it's so nice when these legendary pieces get scattered into one country rather than across the whole realm of Tyria. Not Tyria, it's the wrong one. I forget what the
Tamriel?
Tamriel. When they get scattered across just Cyrodiil or Skyrim and not all of Tamriel. So it's kind of nice when that happens. But you have to collect all the relics, and then you're able to then be blessed by the Nine to fight this Alien king and destroy him in the physical realm, and then go to the spiritual realm and kill him there. And then he's finally completely dead. But you get to keep all the cool armor and stuff. So I did that, and I kept, I was getting so upset with the game because anytime I would fight a goblin, they would hit me, even though I'm blocking. My block's at a high level and my strength is at a high level and stuff. I would kept getting staggered or like reflected, and like it would take me a long time to recover to be able to swing again. So they hit me 3 or 4 times. It would happen over and over and over and over. I just kept getting staggered, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is stupid. Like, I don't remember it being like this.
So
And then
why were there no goblins in Skyrim?
Falmer.
Because I remember fighting goblins in the hour and a half of Oblivion that I played 6 times. And then there were also goblins in Elder Scrolls Blades.
Well, what I'm going to say is if you would have played Oblivion longer, maybe you would have found out. No, I don't know what the lore is behind the goblins. All I know is that they were kind of replaced with Falmer.
Okay.
And I don't know if it necessarily has something to do with the races not living in northern areas, where the Falmer didn't live in Cyrodiil and the goblins of Cyrodiil did not bother to move to Skyrim because it was too cold. I don't know.
I'm sorry I'm asking you some very lore-specific questions.
Try.
Yeah.
But anyway, but these were like goblin skirmishers or even just goblins that were making me stagger. And goblin skirmishers aren't necessarily the most powerful things in the game. And I realized that agility, if you like raised up your agility, that's what makes you keep your balance, therefore not stagger. And my agility was at like 30 out of like 100 or so. So I was very unbalanced for a knight. I was a knight who would get flummoxed by getting flicked on the shoulder, essentially, is what happened. And so I started putting more points into agility, training my sneak and that sort of thing, and trying to really pump that up. And I've been getting staggered less. But now I'm at the point where I'm starting to hit levels where I'm fighting ogres and minotaur. And what it reminded me of was how hard games used to be.
Yeah.
If you didn't build your character right, you were screwed. Like, it's like, oops, sorry, I guess you've got to start over.
Games
And
are a lot more forgiving now.
yeah, and I love and hate that all at the same time. There's been missions in Oblivion where it's like, hey, you've got to go to this town and find this person. How are you going to find him? I don't know. Is there a mission marker? There isn't. You just got to go to the town and look around for a while. And I miss that. I miss that. Like, I found someone by just asking a beggar. I gave him a coin and then I asked the beggar about this person. He's like, yeah, I think I saw someone like him over at the tavern. I think he's there now. And you're like, awesome. Now I can go to that tavern and kind of keep going with my quest. There's one quest where I slept in this house and all of a sudden ghosts appeared and I killed the ghost. And it's like, oh, I've killed the ghost. I've heard a crash downstairs. I should go investigate. And I go downstairs and there's a pot on the floor with a skeleton hand and there's a piece of a journal. And I read the journal and I pick up the skeleton hand and it's like, I should go find the guy who sold me the house. And I go to the Imperial City and I find the guy who sold me the house. And basically the quest is like, you need to convince him to come back to the house and open the sealed door because only the blood of this family can open the sealed door. But the guy is like, I am not going back to that house. And there was nothing I could do to convince him to come back to the house. I couldn't, max out his disposition towards me so he likes me more and then therefore would come back. No, there were no other dialogue choices that I had. And it turns out that I had to go back to this house and find this journal page and take it with me so then I could show it to him and be like, look, dude, I need you to lift this curse. And there was nothing telling me to do that. It was just sheer desperation.
That sounds incredible.
And I realized that Morrowind was even more so in that realm of like, go to the tree north of this town and then turn left, walk a ways, and then you'll be near your destination. That's literally, the only way to figure out where to go was some of the words in your journal were red. There were no quest markers, really. You just had to go to where the red words were as clues. And where I don't want things like that difficult, I kind of wish things were more towards this idea of like you need to build your character or you're boned. And Archon brings up a good point that the perk cards in Fallout 76 are quite in that regard. If you spec your character wrong, you're screwed. And you're absolutely right. I built my character as a do as much damage as possible. But now as I've played, I want to focus on heavy guns and I don't have a lot of those perk cards and therefore I can't. So have lost a focus on my character, and there's no way to really get it unless I level up more, and takes a long time to get one card.
Well, double XP weekend, Rick.
Here we go.
We're gonna work on that after the
We're gonna
show.
do that. But Oblivion really reminded me of this like time in gaming where care was spent on the lore of the world, and we talk about this a lot with Fallout 3 and New Vegas, where the world tells the story, and in Oblivion it does that so much better than Skyrim or ESO. And you know, there's just there's so much mystery in Oblivion, and it's it's so beautiful. The game is not beautiful in that regard graphically. It's just not. The faces are so bad.
Ugh, it's like a
There's no
bowl of runny oatmeal.
there's no facial hair. I didn't even notice this. I didn't even think about it until going back to this game, and I'm like, I can't give my character a beard because facial hair didn't exist.
Yeah,
Um,
I checked in on your stream. I wasn't able to come hang out for the whole thing, but I did drop in, and your character looked like a bowl of mashed potatoes.
that's why I put a helmet on him so you can't see his face. And the games weren't accessible to everyone, and I don't necessarily think the difficulty curve of the game has to go up or the character building has to become harder. I think less quest markers. Or someone posed this to me today. What if the quest markers were an option in the options
I think
that you
that's a
could
good
turn off?
idea.
You could just turn them off. It'd be great.
I would probably just never find anything if there was no kind of quest marker.
Might not work for you,
Yeah.
but
I have some kind of a disability when it comes to finding things.
um, but I think that would be such a good idea. Is just you could turn the quest markers off, and all of a sudden you have to rely on your journal, and that would force you to kind of read a little bit more and learn about the game. Um,
I like the idea of customizable difficulty.
I like the idea of having facial hair. I love Oblivion wholeheartedly, and a game from 2006 that still is playable in 2019 and still looks okay.
The environments hold up okay?
They're okay. They're okay. I mean, they're all right. I mean, trees definitely blink into existence a lot
Yeah.
later than they should, and you get a lot of loading area prompts. But
And how
a
does it
lot of
feel? How does the gameplay feel?
I mean, it feels like you're playing New Vegas or Fallout 3. The combat is clunky. It's so bad. But it's juxtaposed with a very in-depth story, with side quests feeling just as epic as the main quests. And this sense of mystery where everything's bigger than you. It doesn't even matter what it is. Everything seems to be bigger than you. There's something else going on. There's ulterior motives. There's just there's so much at play. There's danger. You're so easily killed in this world where you're fine and you're killing wolves or timber wolves or whatever, and you stumble upon a will-o'-the-wisp and it's just like, well, my game's over. I'm dead. Or you go into a cave, you fight a couple of imps, and all of a sudden you're face down by two skeleton guardians and two skeleton heroes, and it's very hard to win. And there's a lot of strategic retreating for me, a lot of healing spells that are cast. That's the other thing. Leveling up isn't just leveling up. You have to level up specific things in order to level up. Like, I've got to do specific actions to level up. You don't just level up. You have to level up like restoration or illusion or blade or blunt or light armor or heavy armor. And as you level up heavy armor, you will level up as a character.
Okay.
It's a lot more difficult to do that stuff. I just there's a lot of things that they did right in Skyrim. The combat smoothing was great. I mean, combat in Skyrim felt so good. You felt powerful. Some of the finishing moves that they did when they did the slow-mo thing or whatever was awesome. The facial hair, the fact that it was there was great. The dragons were epic, but there's something lost in Skyrim in the simplicity of the environment that Oblivion captured so well. And there was a mystery to it. And the same thing with Fallout 4. In Fallout 3, you would walk in somewhere. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. You'd walk in somewhere in New Vegas or Fallout 3, and there was so much deep, untold lore about a
Mm-hmm.
specific place that made you go, "What happened here?" There were nuggets of truth, but you didn't know exactly what went on, and that stuff didn't really exist in Fallout 3 or
4, you
Fallout
mean?
4. Fallout 4.
Yeah,
I'd s- I
it was there, but it wasn't as it didn't feel as bespoke in
no,
Fallout 4. Fallout 4 felt a little more RNG.
right. Now I will say that Fallout 76 feels a lot more like Fallout 3 and New
Mm-hmm.
Vegas in that regard because of the lack of NPCs. I think.
Something that I heard years ago that really stuck with me, and I don't know who said it, um, regarding the Fallout 3 versus Fallout New Vegas debate. This was
Oh.
before Fallout 4 was ever a thing. They
Mhm.
said, you know what, Fallout 3 is a great open world and not as great an RPG. And Fallout New Vegas is a great RPG and the open world is not as great. And it sounds to me like Skyrim is more like Fallout 3. It's a great open world. And Oblivion is more of a good RPG.
Yeah. I mean, y- yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the world in itself isn't very good. It's only when you get into the locations that you discover that it becomes what it should have been. And I think Skyrim's open world was much more beautiful
Yeah.
and
Skyrim had a
immersive.
really strong open world.
It
So
did.
much to explore.
But the locations were very lacking, if you ask me, compared to Oblivion. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Interesting.
But all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, go play Oblivion. It's worth it. It holds up. It's like $20 for all the DLC, and it's awesome. You get to meet Sharagarth for the first time, and he's a ridiculous man. That's all.
Fantastic. So that's basically all you've been playing?
All I've been playing is Oblivion.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you've been enjoying that. That's a lot of fun. Well, this is going to be the podcast of games from over 10 years ago. Um, I do have a very brief aside. I did play some more Elder Scrolls Blades. I know I mentioned that on that Fallout show last week. I did play a little bit more, not a ton more. It's just not fun, guys. It's not for me.
I
I
forgot that I did try that, and I agree with you.
I don't have any fun playing this game. It's charmless and soulless and just it's not fun in my opinion. I hope it becomes fun, and I hope that if you like it that you think it's fun, but it's not for me. So that was sad. I was a little sad about that. But I did play another game. I played a little game called Dear Esther. Now, at the beginning of this week, we talked about this briefly, amongst ourselves. I was not feeling great on a personal level at the beginning of this week. Anxiety and negative feelings, and I was not in a great place. And I really wanted to play a game that was pretty to look at and would not pose much of a challenge sometimes. I live for hard platformers, and sometimes I want a game at which I will fail repeatedly. But this week, I just wanted something chill that I could experience without feeling frustration. Um, and all I knew about Dear Esther, which had been on my stack for quite a number of years, I believe this game was released in something like 2009. All I knew about this game was that it was one of the first walking simulators and that it was supposed to have pretty landscapes. So I thought, okay, I'll give this a try. And for about the first 30 minutes, this was the most boring game I'd ever played in my life. Which kind of surprised me.
Nice.
Because I tend to like this kind of game, I tend to go for this. But I was bored out of my mind. I was pretty close to quitting it. But I did get pulled into the story about half an hour in. The characters and the story span a couple of different eras. There are historical figures as well as characters that the narrator, who is personally knows and personally knew. But the characters are a little ambiguous and a little bit sort of representative more than real, you know, that they're kind of archetypal. And a lot of the story is left up to interpretation. You know, it's not really spoon-fed to you. You get more of a sense of feelings than you get a sense of facts, which I found really, really interesting. The narration is pretty brilliant. There is only one real character that you see in the game, who is yourself, you know, your own character. And you don't see really any other people. But he talks about some other people who have been on this island in the past, and he talks about people from his own past, and it's really good narration. The longer that you spend with this character, the more you feel you know him, and it's sort of like he's more comfortable talking with you, the player. You know what I mean? It's in the beginning, the narration is not as interesting as it is at the end. You know, it's sort of like when you meet somebody, and in the beginning you're just, you know, you talk and it's small talk. But then by the end you're telling real stories, you know, genuine stories to each other, and that's when it's interesting. But I really enjoyed the narration and the story. I was put in mind of Hellblade for a couple of reasons. This game has some similar themes in terms of grief and mental illness and, you know, some of the struggles with one's inner issues. And also the sound design of this game sort of reminded me of Hellblade. Of course, this doesn't measure up to the standard of the sound in Hellblade. That was on another level. And Hellblade also had magnificent gameplay. You know, the gameplay in Hellblade was really, really good. And all you can do in Dear Esther is walk and zoom in on things. You can't pick up anything. You can't open a door. You can't jump or run. Or you can walk and you can look at something a little closer.
It feels like a very British game where you're just walking around and you're like, oh, look at that thing.
Exactly.
Just kind of lean in and just, oh, that's nice. And
Exactly. Oh, look at this nice grass. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. But the sound of the game is really, really good. Both the soundtrack and the ambient noise, like the waves from the ocean, dripping water in a cave, the sound that your footfalls make on the beach compared to the sound that your footfalls make when you're inside a rocky cave. They did a great job with the sound in this game. And this game, Dear Esther, has emotions that are palpable in a way that I feel is very rare in media. Grief and sadness and longing and madness. It's all right there, and I felt very empathetic with this character. You know, it was very moving. You know, it was really interesting. The story goes to a super dark place, which I was not prepared for, and it kind of shook me up a little bit. I wish that I had maybe chosen a different game for the state of mind that I was in. Because this story did go to a super dark place, and I'd rather not have experienced that. I'd rather been in a better mindset when I played it. But it's all very mysterious. I think the game does have some replay value in terms of just the bits of information, the way they feed you the story. And there are some collectibles, but I don't think that I'll play it again. I think I'm done with this game now. I played it in one sitting. It took about 2 hours in Shaline time, so that's probably about an hour and 20 minutes for the rest of you. I recommend Dear Esther. This was a very special game, and I'm very glad that I played it. But I don't think I'll play it again, but it was neat. I enjoyed Dear Esther. And that's really all I've played, is a bit of Blades and some Dear Esther. So I'm hoping to have some more time for games this week. And that's all I really had.
I feel like it's safe to say, Shaline, that any sort of game that's in this realm of walking sim is almost always going to take a dark turn.
I guess you're probably right. I don't know. I'm sort of contrasting it with Gone Home, which I felt like was going to be a bit of a horror experience because it seemed to have a very scary tone, but then it was just not at all that experience. So
I just mean like there's never gonna be like a walking sim, check the locker, zoom in on things kind of game where it's like, well, see, you start out as a man who is just an accountant, and later he becomes upper management and he marries well.
things went out, things worked out. It was fun. It was
It
good.
ended
You
okay.
had a good life. Have you ever played the Stanley Parable?
No, is that like about the Marvel creator Stanley?
No, the Stanley Parable is a walking simulator technically, but it's so much more. And I think it might be the only walking simulator out there that I would recommend to you, because that game has a sense of humor that is just second to none. Maybe I'll send you a copy of Stanley Parable. It's really good.
Have you tried Indigo?
I haven't yet. No, I haven't yet. I'm sorry. Don't be mad. Don't be
I'm
mad.
not. You've been pretty busy, but I did give you, for those of you who didn't know, I did give Shaline a copy of Indigo Prophecy, which is the only kind of walking sim, check of the locker, zoom in on
Adventure, I think,
adventure
would be
thing
the genre
that I've
for
played.
Indigo.
I liked it. I played it a lot, so we'll see if you like it. It probably won't hold up graphically, that's for sure.
Almost certainly not, but that's okay. I want to try that with Vendor on our story streams, but we haven't really had time for the story streams lately.
It would make me happy to see you two play that, because it's like one of those, it's one of those things that you two really like that genre, and I don't like that genre. But then there's this one aspect of the genre that I was like, this game meant something to me at some point. I would love to see you two experience it.
Yeah.
And see how terribly you guys do.
It's a David Cage game, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we're probably going to kill everyone. Yeah.
I mean,
everyone's going to die.
Stuff that I found out that I was lucky to have done in the beginning of the game that affects the end of the game. I'm just so curious to see if you figure it out.
Yeah, it's going to go poorly. It'll be disastrous. And yeah, I think it'll be a good time. We'll definitely try that in the future. Speaking of streams, are we going to be doing one this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Sunday free.
I do too. So I think we should return to Dead Space probably.
Survival Horror Sunday.
It's going to be good. Survival Horror Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. Sunday afternoon sometime?
4 p.m.
4 Eastern time. 2 in Mountain time. That will be fine.
The wrong time.
On Sunday. So look forward to that. It's going to be great. We're going to dismember some necromorphs. It's going to be a good time. And that's all we have. Normally we would talk about listener emails at this point in the show, but we have none. So please send some Gamestack emails to info@wejustlovegames.com. info@wejustlovegames.com. We get a bunch of that Fallout show listener mail, but we haven't had any Gamestack emails lately. So please send those this way. We really enjoy reading your letters on the show. So we would love that. Rick, would you like to tell us about how listeners can connect with the show when the show is not going? Like,
Totally.
For example, on Twitter?
Yeah, you can tweet at the show at We Just Love Games. You can tweet at Shaline, who's running this lovely show, at Shaline L. You can tweet at me at Rick McVick, and Vendertron, who is busy just dancing away tonight, I think, at Vendertron N. And you can find us on Facebook.com/We Just Love Games and Facebook.com/groups/We Just Love Games. I didn't know how far you wanted
We
me to
Just
take
Love
this.
Game like singular? We only love one game.
It's our Russian page.
In Russia, game love you.
Sorry, I was starting to look for a last.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do,
like
I didn't
thrown
want
it
to do
to
the
Rick and
outro. I just threw it over to you. You can join our Discord page, Discord. So you can find the Discord link on our Twitch page, I believe it's in our Twitter pinned tweet at We Just Love Games, or you can send Rick Vendertron or myself a personal message on any other social media. We'll get you a Discord link. And if you would like to join the live chat room, we record the show at 6:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Eastern Time on twitch.tv/We Just Love Games. And we would love to have you here. We really enjoy interacting with the live chat. We will be on YouTube. This show will be put on YouTube, as well as iTunes, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts are given away. I'm also planning to post Rick's Oblivion stream archive to YouTube as well. So if you'd like to check that out, if you heard this and thought, man, I'm really sad I missed that stream with Rick. Well, I'm going to put it on YouTube so you can see it there. youtube.com/We Just Love Games. Thank you so much for listening. If you're still here after all of that housekeeping, we love ya. Please like, subscribe, and review the show. We really appreciate everything that you do to support this show. And thank you for listening. Rick, do you have a last word?
When you can't run, you crawl. And when you can't crawl, when you can't do that, you find someone to carry you.